Senator Chambliss.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General Schwartz, let me echo the comments of Senator McKean with respect to the Don't Ask, Don't Tell repeal. I know there's tremendous pressure on you from the administration and other arenas to promote this change, and we look forward to continuing this debate, look forward to the study, and I'm very pleased to hear you say that you're going to go down to the very lowest levels of the enlisted personnel in the Air Force, because at the end of the day, we need to hear from everybody on this, and I thank you for your courage there. Mr. Secretary, you, in your response to Senator McCain, I want to make sure I'm clear on this. The IOC date on the F-35 has been slipped to 2 years. Is that correct?
Well, sir, the IOC decision is up to General Fraser, who's the commander of Air Combat Command. We think meeting the FY13 date that had been on the books for a couple of years is going to be very difficult. And our guidance to General Fraser and Dr. Carter's guidance to us at this point is to have the operating community, represented by General Fraser, to be working with the acquisition community, with the program office, to work through the implications of the restructure for IOC, for the restructure
plan anticipates a 2-year slippage, correct?
The restructured plan did not address that in specifics. It just told us to go work the IOC issues.
So what do you think the slippage is?
Well, I've indicated that it's going to be very hard to meet 2013.
Just answer my question, Mr. Secretary. What's going to be the slippage in your opinion?
This is, I think it's as I've indicated, it's certainly beyond 2013. General Fraser's task is to establish the definition of what IOC is and to work with the program office to determine the content of the program going forward.
You're going to reach a non-McCurdy breach this year with the F-35?
I believe we will. I've indicated that in my testimony. The content of that, again, we have not worked through completely. But since the restructuring decision was made earlier in the winter, we have been undertaking all the program offices under Dr. Carter's direction, been undertaking all the actions as if the program were in a non-McCurdy breach. So we're doing all the working through all the mitigation steps.
The Joint Estimating Team prepared a report on the F-35 in the fall of 2008 that indicated that the F-35 would be significantly overcost and behind schedule relative to the Joint Program Office's predictions. Are you aware of that report?
I am.
And about a week after the vote in the Senate last year to terminate the F-22, the JET team prepared another report that said exactly the same thing. Were you aware of that report?
Yes.
Were you aware of both those reports when you came to this committee and testified that there would not be a slippage in the IOC date on the F-35, that it would meet test and production requirements?
Yes. I mean, this is where we were last year.
Why didn't you tell us that the JET was going to come out with a report that disagreed with the IOC date being met?
This concentrated review of the program has been a 2-year process. We received the JET report in 2008, indicating there was a difference between the program office, as you have described, and the independent estimate. The department reviewed that and ended up adding dollars to the FY10 budget for more SDD. It did not recognize all the changes in the independent estimate at that time, but it set in motion another, which delivered at the end of last year. So we've had a close 2-year review of this program. And in part, I would say that the restructure represents, in part, the work of this committee and the House on the weapons systems evaluation process and how to better accommodate independent cost estimates, more realistic cost estimates in our program.
Why didn't you tell
And the
this committee?
the department's judgment at the end of the year was that we need to recognize this disconnect and fund closer to the independent cost estimate. And that judgment was
Why didn't you tell
reached at
this
the end of the
committee
year.
last year when we had testimony on the termination of the F-22 program that the joint estimating team was going to come back with a report a week after the vote last year on the floor of the Senate that confirmed their conclusions in the fall of 2008 that there was going to be a 2-year slippage in this program? Why didn't you tell us that?
Sir, I cannot speak to the specific dates you're referencing. I don't recall the precise sequence of when reports came in or when testimony was taken.
Yeah. General Schwartz, were you aware of those 2 reports last year when you came before this committee?
I was aware of the substance of the reports, yes, sir.
And was there any reason you didn't disclose that to this committee when we were discussing the termination of the F-22 program?
The independent estimates at that time had not received a level of validation that I felt was compelling.
Okay. This week, the Air Force awarded a $223 million contract for the first 2 re-engining ship sets for the Joint Stars re-engining effort. I would certainly hope that it's the Air Force's intent to procure these engines and install them on Joint Stars aircraft. Is that the Air Force's intention?
It is for the 4 ship sets, sir.
Okay. And the FY11 Air Force budget includes funds for 2 additional Joint Stars re-engining ship sets. And since this is in the President's budget request, I assume that you both support that. Is that correct?
I do.
Yes, sir.
Are you fully committed to obligating and executing these funds as soon as you're able to, assuming they are authorized and appropriated?
We are, sir, and I would only indicate that there's a need for a bit of reprogramming in order to execute the 11 program, about 20 million. And,
But you intend to make that
and
happen?
we intend to request that approval, yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Chambliss. Senator Akaka.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Donnelly and General Schwartz, I want to